Lovely weather today. It's a little bit hot, but you can see on my jacket here I've got my vents open. Ah, look at those trees. Isn't that just beautiful? This is Estuary Drive. This is just a bit south of Dawesville and Mandurah in West Australia. And we've been riding my Honda VT750C. This is a 2006. I've got a couple of Cobra exhaust pipes on here, which sound really nice, but not too loud. I've also installed these Cobra floorboards because on a cruiser, your feet are quite far forward when you're sitting there. And so what happens is, with your foot pegs, your foot just keeps trying to come off these little foot pegs. They're not much bigger than my index finger, really. And so I put a couple of floorboards on there, and now I can get my foot flat and very supported. And I can even get my foot back a bit, which helps me get my leg into a more natural position when I'm riding. The very first motorcycle test I took, I actually forgot to raise my kickstand before I left the driving centre. I gave it a bit of gas, and then he said, stop the bike. And he said, get off the bike, please. And he said, you forgot to raise your kickstand. And I think he was right to warn me about it, but I think it was very anal of him to actually fail me and make me book another test. Woo! It's a beautiful day for this, absolutely beautiful. Look at that open road. Yeah, baby. That's what it's all about. Let's take a left turn here. One of the things about riding a cruiser is that you're quite low to the ground, which means you don't have as much clearance between the road and the bike. So when you take corners and sharp bends, you just need to be mindful of how far over you're leaning the bike. Before I put these floorboards on, I obviously had foot pegs. And I'd only been riding the bike for a few days, and I managed to scrape the pegs across the road a couple of times, which is not a very pleasant feeling because you feel like something's going to go wrong. Look at that water. Oh yeah, doesn't it just make you want to go for a swim? This is Estuary Drive again. A couple of nights ago, I downloaded the original Star Wars trilogy. I don't mean the original trilogy, I mean the original trilogy. The films they actually screened for the first time. It's just amazing to see a Star Wars movie without any digital CG effects in it. Because when you look at the Death Star, you can see that it's a real fucking Death Star. When you watch Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, everything looks fake. I mean, I don't mean like makeup and props fake. I mean like not even there fake. All the sets are completely digitally rendered. When you watch the original Star Wars trilogy with all the authentic effects and real props and sets in it, you can see that it's authentic, and it gives a legitimacy to the Star Wars universe that makes you want to be a part of it. This is West Australia, really. It's, it's bloody nice on a sunny day like this. If you're doing riding and stuff, you can see it's just beautiful country for it. And it gets much more wide open than this. It just becomes completely like, middle of Florida kind of thing. When I first bought this bike, what I noticed was that there's no fuel indicator, there's no fuel gauge. How do I know when to fill up with petrol? And it's actually very easy, because what you do have on this bike is a digital trip meter. So you fill the bike up with gas, you reset the trip meter, which is a little switch here that you hold down. Just that one there. You hold that down to reset your trip meter after you've filled up with gas. You drive along as you do, and when you hear your engine starting to get sputtery, that's when you know it's starting to get a bit dry. And you look at your trip meter and you say, okay, so when I get to about 210 or 220 kilometers, that's when I know I need to start looking for a petrol station. And it's actually very simple. Woo! Oh, that's an amazing feeling when you just hang back on your bars a little bit. You sort of sit back like you're in a lazy boy chair. That's what I fucking love about this bike.